Hello, everybody, and good afternoon out here. Anyway, good early evening back in the and very early in the morning where Diane is. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
good morning
we're
to my
happy.
side of the world.
I know on your side. So we're happy to have everybody here once again. And if you don't know this already, Mercury is in early retrograde. It's the build up to the retrograde, and lots of us were just talking about a lot of issues with internet and other things. Yeah. So, you just gotta hang in there. Anyway, I want to welcome my wonderful panel. I have Paul White Dragon with us, and Diane G is here, and Diana Bowles, oil painter. So thanks for coming in on all channels. And we're looking forward to having this discussion. And Paul's got some pictures even that I have downloaded to share. So with no further ado, I will let either Diane or Paul begin the conversation.
Oh,
Well,
wait.
this is to talk about the ongoing thing with the migration, the Lyran migration, how they stopped, and the Pleiades that were running away from the Drax. I call them Drax, but people know them as Draconians,
Mhm.
and some of that stuff, and then eventually between when they when the people that settled the Pleiades. The Pleiades is just an area of the sky where they found a an area that it was fairly safe for them, and then they settled there. So we call them Pleiadians, and there's many species and different types. Most people know them as Nordics. Some of them look a little Asian. Some of them look, there's different colors. But most of the ones that people hear about are the Nordics, which are like blonde, like the Scandinavian type people, very tall and long, blondish type hair, and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So, you know, I will just say that during the migration, they almost bought the farm. Getting to the Pleiades, that they were in deep trouble, and the for they came across one of the Arcturians spaceships, and they started the conversation. What's going on? What were they doing? And eventually, the Arcturians decided to help them out, but they decided to help them out by bringing them up in frequency to a point that the Draconians could not reach them. Because
Mhm.
Draconians were operating at very low frequency, mostly 3D and lower 4D. I don't think they can get any higher than that. So that's how they got to it. Now, as far as the Arcturians, they have. I was talking to Dr. Gill about this, and we have identified at least four different types. There's probably more. They're normal Arcturians that we see that usually like tall and they're kind of bald, and
Mhm.
they're kind of bluish color, and they got big almond eyes. They kind of look like a tall gray, but they're not gray. They're blue, and
They're blue.
they say that most of them had like three fingers, and but the thing is that they all kind of look alike because that's what they choose to be like.
Mhm.
And then there's another type that is smaller than that, and they're still kind of like bluish. And there's another type that's greenish in color.
Dora.
And there was that. Now you're seeing them the hand, right? So after I'm done here with my spiel, you can jump in and expand on it. And then there's another type that we identified, and these people, they didn't look very humanoid. They look kind of like angular and grayish looking, and those are kind of like the workers. Like how you have the little grays who walk around and do all the stuff around the ships and stuff. That's what these Arcturians were like. But they're more independent. They're not robots or anything like that. So at least we know of four different types, and there may be more, but I don't know. Now the ones that identify with the ones that are taller. Those are now no longer in 3D, 4D. That they're most of them not even in 5D. They're above 5D, and that's where they normally hang out. But then whenever they need something done, they come down. They pick a body because when you're in 6D, there's this closet. I call it the closet, and it's got all these different forms that you can take. You can pick different forms, and if you ever meditate on that, you can see that. I mean, I know I have a closet. I have a Arcturian body suit that I keep there. I know because I used it. So, and Dr. Gill talks about this, and she has a whale one that when she went to visit the whale planet, water whale planet, she put that on so she could be down in interface with those those whale people. So, this those are the kind of Arcturians that we know. But the thing about them, they're up there, but they really they help the Pleiadians get away from the Draconians. But now the Pleiadians are trying to help us ascend.
Mhm.
So it's like they're paying it forward. And in the background here are the Arcturians. We By the way, they make the best guides ever.
They do.
They teach by example. For instance, they might come and they'll say, "Okay, now I want you to look at that area of the sky over there, and I want you to identify different areas of the sky by the frequency that's there, and then they'll leave you alone." And then you do
Mhm.
this, you tell, "Oh my God, look at what I'm supposed to do." It. That's how they teach, but they make the best guides. I know that I have four, four Arcturian guides. The main one is called Arthur, very Arcturian. So I've had conversations with. He showed up in my bedroom one time, and I had hour long conversations several times with him, and it's super easy to talk to this guy. I don't know why. I mean, it's like I'm talking to you over the internet, and I know it's light language, so I must be using light language. So if you've got an Arcturian guide, or if you got an Arcturian background, because I do, I mean, I've been there over 15 times, according to what Diane G did that list she gave me. It must have been for some reason. So it's, I'll just stop talking and let somebody else talk now.
So I just have to want to add to that. Arcturians aren't just helping the Pleiadians; they're helping a lot of species and a lot of planets in our galaxy. So I call them the guardians of the galaxy. Before Chris Pratt ever became guardian of the galaxy, there were the Arcturians.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, and
cool.
Linda Bishop has a question. Are these the tall whites that we hear about? So I don't think they're the tall whites. They're tall blues, I
Oh,
believe. We call them tall blues, although there are green Arcturians.
Yeah,
mhm.
there's a chalky white, and if you think of chalk on a traditional style blackboard back in the day, chalk is has a bluish cast to it. So you can have there's a mixture. I mean, considering how long it took them to be able to land and build a life on that lonely star Arcturus, right?
Mhm.
So when you think of it that way, oh my gosh, there's so many different kinds. The shorter variety, they're like 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall and kind of have an amphibian look to their face. They can get growth, uh, like skin folds that are a reddish brown, that is protection that falls off and regrows. So if you think about what uh, fish are like when that exactly happens to fish, they shed, but it's not a wound because they're in water and it's healing, and that's what they're absorbing. So they have their own protection around them in order to rebuild themselves. But Paul, exactly what you were saying, I can liken them to the energy of Saturn, the school principal, the Pope. The best teacher there is in this is what you got to do, but I want you to figure it out. Here's your tools. Bye. Let me know when you're done, and then we'll sit down and talk about it. And I'll help you with what you didn't figure out on your own. Try to figure it out first. And they are here to help all of us get higher, 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 to use our higher knowledge and our highest frequency of our soul.
Hmm. Wow.
I don't think we
Yeah.
I don't think we could do it without their help. I mean, really, the the when
All of them,
the
right?
sorry state that the Palladians were when they found them. I mean, a little longer than that, they would have been gone eventually.
Hmm.
They were already the Draconians had already found them out in the Pleiades, but eventually that didn't happen. Thank God. And they were
Um,
able to like pull themselves by their bootstraps with their help, and also their technology. I mean, I have to talk a little bit about that. Arcturian technology is the best technology in this galaxy. It's the top of the line. No,
hmm.
Right? They don't even need an engine to run the plane.
no,
Yeah.
they're crystal experts, and
Yeah.
the ships. And I can tell you for a fact, the ships do not need refueling ever because they're crystal based. Their engines are run off of crystals. I don't know how they do it, but that's how they do it. All the ships are that they're that advanced, and the ships are organic. They can change shape, sizes, and they are multi-dimensional. So that means that the ship itself is has areas that can be that's one of them. that is that is a depiction that I made using AI of the command. I call it the command ship because I named it Michael Spear, and the Arcturian. It is an Arcturian that chose that shape garment to be a ship. So it is an Arcturian, but it is instead of having a meat body, it has a ship body. It's inhabiting that ship. The ship is this Arcturian, and the name of the Arcturian I call him Spear. And of out of all the Arcturians that I deal with, he's I use him kind of like my CEO. I talk to him all the time, and when I go on board, he always appears in Arcturian. And Ali, you may want to put the little the blue Arcturian picture. That one. They kind of look like this. This is a female. The male has a little more male features to them, but not. They're very slight and subtle. This one here is the one for my personal ship, the Diana, and that's her. When I go on board, that's what she chooses to show me instead
Hmm.
of the blue big headed head. She's gorgeous. I mean, I'm in love with this lady. She is so beautiful, and it's and her and Athena they're like buddies, and for some reason they conspired. I said to her, when I got my ship redone, refurbished, because mine was old. Everything worked, but it was very, very old. That's the Athena, how she shows to me. Anyway,
Hmm.
so those two, I said, okay, so you're gonna be my ship. I found out later through Dr. Gale that that Arcturian lady, the one that you saw the picture, apparently that's my sister when I was in Arcturus. But it's more than that. It's kind of like a sister wife, but I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Hmm.
And Arcturians do things very differently. So I don't quite understand that. I can't wrap my head around that. But she's
Well,
like she's been with me
think,
for a while.
think of it just as she's a member of your tribe. You grew up as
Right,
kids
right,
together.
right.
Okay, so if you think of it that way, rather than blood, but rather close proximity, cousins who
Exactly.
grew up together.
Yeah.
That way it's less confusing.
I've
Yeah,
been
because
I
Arcturians don't really reproduce the way we do. So
exactly.
they clone themselves and then they put a consciousness in the body.
That's how I
So I
understand.
think it's more your soul family.
Yeah, that's how I kind of understand it. But I mean, I've been there for like over 15 times, so it, I have to have built relationships. That's how it is. And so, anyways, when first of all, when I got my shit redone, the interior is entirely Arcturian looking. It's all organic, and you can press on the walls, and it's kind of soft and warm, and the floors are kind of spongy, and it looks like a Star Trek ship, but it's soft. There's hardly any sharp corners anywhere, and it's just beautiful inside. And so is the command ship. So I asked them. I said, okay, so I'm gonna allow you to pick how you choose the way to interact with me, and I did the same thing for the Athena. And those two conspired between each other, and they picked those forms. They must have known something because I just love them both. I'm head over heels with it. It is that they knew exactly what to pick, and I call them the girls. So, and they call me Pappy. So I don't, that's how they choose to interact with me when I talk to the ships. And they're Arcturians, and the Arcturians can do anything with technology. They don't need technology, by the way. They can do without technology. They can do everything with their minds and their visions and stuff that any machine that they have can do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think of Jupiter a lot also because they are of the higher mind, right? And the expansion. And I think that they are very instrumental in teaching us earthlings how to use our clairvoyance, clairsentience, all the clairs, telepathy, and that higher. They're calmer, and they have this dark sense of humor with shadow work in teaching you a lesson, like the coyote trickster, who's really more like Wile E. Coyote, who goes out and falls off the cliff because himself the rocket didn't work.
Mhm.
So they have that uh, those psychic abilities to put that message in or teach us our own abilities that are already within us, to bring them to life so that we can hear all of our guides, not just our Arcturians, but like the channeling Merlin, channeling Elena the Trods, and all of the higher masters that we know from historic situations as earthlings.
So, are there purple Arcturians?
I would say yes.
They could be.
Okay.
I mean, they choose how they can choose
Okay.
any way to present themselves to you. When they do that, I mean,
Yeah.
they can pick a a suit. I call them suits. I mean, anything like whatever they have in their closets at their disposal.
Sure.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And if there's so many hybrids now that aren't just gray hybrids, and
Yeah.
some of them don't look humanoid. They look more like the father starseed or the mother starseed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So color is like their choice, right, Paul? Because
Yeah.
anything they want, they can do with their mind. They look like a female human to you, but in reality, that's what they really look like. The blues that you have shown us.
when
Uh-huh.
when Arthur showed himself to me, I was laying in bed, in the middle of the night, pondering things that I do in the middle of the night when I can't sleep, and I looked toward the doorway, and there's this wispy, roughly Arcturian shape there, and I'm looking at it and I go, okay, so there's something there. And I look the other way, and it's still there. So I say, "Who are you?" And it says, "My name is Arthur. And I'm an Arcturian." I knew he was an Arcturian, and it is my guy, one of my guys. I have three. I don't know. I don't know their names except Arthur. But anytime I need to ask him anything, I just call him. "Hey, Arthur, you there? Yep. What do you need?" And he talks to you just like conversational.
Right.
It's not like he's not like, walla walla salami bologna cheese and liverwurst kind of thing. No, it's never like that.
Yeah, they're more like our friends with a different sense of humor.
Exactly. Exactly. They are very funny. Very.
Hmm.
Yeah, they have a sense of humor, and usually the way of going, the Athena is very large. I mean, it can hold 1 million people easily without a problem. So forget to get from one place to another inside the Athena, you just don't walk. They teleport themselves wherever they want to go with their mind, and they usually don't walk. They usually float like 6 inches above the floor, and it's like when they get close to where they're going, they just float. They're like floating down the hallway. Oh, I
Speaking of
got
floating and teleportation, standing in light with Annie Bear has a question. Do you
yeah.
go into your ship when you meditate and dream White Dragon? Interesting.
I go to my ship anytime I need to. I don't have to meditate. I just think about my ship and I'm there. And I'm usually greeted by Diana, and obviously, oh, we hug, and we jump around. Welcome home, that kind of thing. It's a real welcome when I go there, and then I usually go, "Okay, come on over," and I think I pops back in. So she's like the same. She's like a little girl jumping out. In fact, when I first started interfacing with the Athena, she would present herself like a little girl, maybe 12 years old, in a sundress with little black shoes with a little band on it and a little ruffle socks and the hat and all that kind of. That's how she was. So I used to call her a little girl, but she's not. She's an Arcturian lady that's been around forever, just about. And then it evolved into this new shape because I asked them to pick a shape and they did. I didn't tell them to, so they did that themselves,
Mhm.
conspirationally, I guess.
Well, we can also associate them with the healers, the energy healers, the soul healers, the physical, the ability to heal the physical through the soul, like the Reiki masters, practitioners that you go to see cord cutting, like Kelly does. Those are things that Arcturians influence.
Right, and one of the things that they do teach, and they do teach quite a bit, and they do teach you to teleport with your mind. I've done it. I didn't know how the heck I did it, but I did it one time. Don't ask me how. I was as surprised as anybody else. So, anyways, they also teach you to levitate and walk through walls and things like that. And it's kind of their training they put you through because they really want you to move up there in frequency. They want to get everybody away from any place that the dark keys that goes.
Personal personal evolution is so important to them. For all of us on an individual basis, not just themselves. They've already accomplished that. Like you said, they're in 7D. They,
Exactly.
Mhm.
you
And
know,
but I did talk to Dr. Gail once, and she said they do have like I wouldn't say a violent past, but a kind of
very
militaristic past to them before
agreed.
they did the jump, and they also it created what I'm going to call the Arcturian corridor, and that is a subject that I want to visit is at some future time because it's very it's how they got out of where they were back into those higher realms, and that exists, and it's it's for our use too. I mean, they don't say, "Oh, you're not Arcturian, you can't use it." Blah blah blah. No, no, they're it's there for everybody to use. You just got to know it's there. Now, I don't know exactly where it is, but I think it's somewhere in the Lyran area. But I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe you can.
Yeah, that would make sense because the Lyran area is very close to the galactic center. So I think it can be there. It would make sense to be there.
It's an interdimensional gateway, and as far as I understand, it's also used by souls when they transition to go back and forth. You know, up and down. But
That
it's a very safe, very very safe place.
this 9 degrees of Gemini and 9 degrees of Sagittarius are those portals. And then the greater light coming in is at 4 degrees of Pisces on fixed stars that
Yeah.
are Aldebaran and Altara, Altara. Oh my gosh, I can't
Are you
get it up.
Antares?
Thank you. And Taurus, which are the Gemini Sagittarius axis. And then 0 degrees of Virgo is Regulus, and Pisces is the other one, Formahan. So those four spots are very important. The supergalactic center at 2 degrees of Libra, that's another important portal that comes and goes. And when you look for Arcturus in the sky, you have to, it's one, if I might just pick this up and show it, hopefully you can see it. It's way down here, but it is this kite. You see the kite in here? This is the kite of that whole pattern for booties. And it is the giant red star that's way out here. But when you see that blinking orangey red star, you can find your way over to the Big Dipper. And then you can find it all the way over here to the Corona Borealis at this end. And though, it is the fourth brightest star that's out there, yet it gets ignored because it's so far away from the rest of the constellation that people don't realize it's the tail of the kite.
Yeah, I want to answer Millie question here. Yeah,
Millie,
uh, when when they say a brain upgrade, what is? I mean, I don't think they're changing your brain around. What they're doing is they're raising your frequency to the place when you can make that connection with those gifts, which you already have. You just don't know. Everybody has those gifts already available. You just got to realize that you do, and then use them.
it's like a dog's frequency. The higher you go, the higher the pitch, the harder it is for the human
Yeah.
experience to
Hmm.
Yeah.
hear it.
It's a remembering kind of thing. It's you know, I think about it. How did I ever figure out how to teleport? I didn't just teleport myself. I teleported about 40 people with me because we didn't have the time to get on a ship and move someplace else. We had it was an emergency, and poof, we went to the Athena, and then I went poof to the bridge, and then I go, what did I just do?
Yeah, we
So
kind of remember our abilities. These are the
yeah,
things that we already have. We just
we
remember.
already have that. It's
Hmm.
like, and then the kind of work that we're doing here with the galactic work, and and I I have to talk a little bit about that because yesterday I was thinking about that, and yeah, we're kind of wiping out the draconian empire, but it's not just wiping them out. It's like they're furiously evolving right now because of it, because all the troublemakers are being taken care of, and then whoever survives is not a troublemaker. So when they continue on, they're not going to be as uh, militaristic as they used to be, and they're going to get to the point eventually that they get to the when they're not going to be a problem anymore. We're going to have to pull them in. We're going to have to bring them into the whole organization eventually.
Well, and as Diane was saying earlier about them being the guardians of of the universe, exactly. That militaristic trait comes from Aquarius and Scorpio, the eighth house and the 11th house. Those are signs that are able to detach. And the military has to be disciplined and be able to detach. You can't have any of that emotional feeling when you're out to protect the greater mass, right?
Hmm.
You have to watch for the offender and try to prevent an event from occurring. But in the case that you have to pull your weapon and vaporize them, you cannot be attached to the emotion that goes with taking a life. And so they are capable of that and still are very loving, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that
They're
is
not,
part of your shadow work.
they're pacifists right now. The Arcturians are pacifists, but they also have the best tech. And like I said, we really can't not have done what we're doing so far without that tech, because it's being used to the nth degree as far as what they have available. And I kind of worried because these ships are super. I mean, one ship has destroyed one of their big armadas, the big main ship that was bigger than probably half the solar system. It was that big, and that one went down with just one ship in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, they're very technologically
It was
advanced.
the technology that they have is it's unmatched. You can't really,
Hmm.
but they don't really need it. They just made it available. And I asked, do I really have the permission for this? And they said,
Yeah.
yeah. I asked several people, and they said, yeah. And I mean, it's been made available for whatever is happening because that needed to happen.
Yeah.
And it all
Hmm.
goes back down to what Metatron. I always get that name. He's probably laughing at me, going, "Ha ha ha." Whatever he's doing, he's running the whole show. I mean, he's like the one that's picking a lot of stuff.
Can you
So
tell us what the Athena Galactic Federation is? One of you? This has been
So
sitting.
Galactic Federation is something that people, different races from our galaxy, founded together.
Uh-huh.
This was in response to the Lyran and Draconian Wars.
Okay.
It's something that they wanted to prevent in the future. So prior to the Lyran Draconian Wars, this didn't exist. So a lot of the founding members, I think, are Arcturian, and some are Pleiadians. But it's made up of different star
Oh,
races in our galaxy. And the Athena is something that is a part of the Galactic Federation. This is a ship that protects Earth. So I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, this is specifically stationed on Earth to help us
that's
and protect us.
right now it is, and it can duplicate itself. I mean, I seen it duplicate itself up on it did it. I saw it do it 4 times, four duplications, and then one time I saw it do it 17 times, and then after whatever needs to be done is done,
mhm.
it goes and merges right back. So imagine what one can do. Imagine what 17 can do. So
Sure.
Mhm.
the level of technology and power that's behind all of that is it's unrivaled. It can't be matched anywhere. And it's all because the Arcturians have decided to help everybody out, and that's why that's why I mean I have a lot of affinity for them, and I'm so grateful that they're able to do that for everybody else. So it's something that it's really close to me.
Hmm.
Okay.
You've been an Arcturian several times, Paul.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
you feel a close affinity. So in relation to butterfly readings with Linda's question, how do you find out about your beginnings? We feel this resonance with something. Like for me personally, when I first heard the list of star seeds, one thing really caught my ear and my eye, and that was Pleiadians. So I started researching, and I found out that I was one.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
also, getting Akashic Records readings. Like I remember that I found out, I got a confirmation from Viviani and Diana Bowles here. So it's something that you may want to do. Get an Akashic Records reading to
Yeah.
find out what your origins are or your star lineage is.
But you
Mhm.
also need to contact Diane G because she's very good through her own skill as an Akashic
Yeah.
reader to be
Yeah.
able to tell you where you've been, where you came from, where you're going to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's
I
very
love doing readings like that. I do star lineage readings, so if you want to contact me, my details are in the description. But it's very useful, I think, to really understand our soul journey, like to find out our beginnings. And I find out more about our missions when I look at the Akashic records from a galactic perspective. Because we see
yeah.
our gifts carry over. And we have a lot of Arcturian starseeds in the chat that I'm seeing. So, hello everyone, and we hope that this discussion is helpful for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Leah wonders what makes us humans they admire the most? What about us that is that Arcturians might admire the way we do things or the way we are?
Well, as I understand it, a long time ago, this form was meant to be almost an angelic form, and due to something that happened way back on the earth a long time ago, before there was even people or anything else, there was an asteroid that carried some bacteria or some kind of bacteria, and it got mixed in with the whole evolutionary thing, and it brought a lot of negative things because of it. And it was decided, and I don't know who decided it, but it was decided, the people who were doing the experiment, that
Hmm.
it was they could even start from zero again, but it was decided against that because it had gotten so far. And that is probably what draws them into it, because we have the potential. Mankind was supposed to live 800 years, and we don't. We live like 80, 90 if you're lucky. So we've been messed around with our two strand DNA, and we're supposed to have 12 normally. So I don't know how that happens, but that's the DNA is like a crystal. So
You have to wonder, though, you have to wonder if what we do to ourselves because we have free will, you wonder if the other planets allow free will like we do.
Mhm.
So we have free will to kill ourselves basically by eating junk food or smoking or drinking too much or whatever it is.
eating
And so that
hamburgers,
would have to also affect our life. It would
right?
have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they wouldn't eat any of that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
as far as I know, the Palladians don't eat that. They might eat fish here and there, but they mostly their diet is very
Plant based. Yeah, I
plant
was
based.
going to say. Yeah.
they're 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 they they're very interested in us because they know that we have the potential for such a higher frequency, for such a higher life. And
Mhm.
they are of that quantum entanglement that we heard so much on Preston's show last night actually was talking about it also. But that's the telepathy. That is that higher frequency where you are able to manifest because you understand that time is
Mhm.
not linear and you know that you can go anywhere and get what it is that's there for you. And so
Mhm.
they're trying to inspire and to keep us in a communication belt that doesn't need heavy power over each other, but
Mhm.
rather just inspires to be holy, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
There's
and then
the
you know,
Tibetan and God and Buddha and Yeshua and everybody aspired to that holy, holy, holy place.
yeah, the I used to think that okay, so I'm over here and I'm dreaming and I'm someplace else, and then I wake up and I'm over here again. Go back and forth, and it's really not that way. It's more like we're multidimensional. It doesn't matter what we're doing, or we're sleeping, or we're here talking in this forum. I mean, we're other places at the same time, doing other things.
Mhm.
Once you realize that, and you know exactly that's the way, then it just opens up a new page in the book, and then you expand by just considering that that's the way it is, right, Diane?
Mhm.
She's like, she knows that she's doing other things besides about dome system with the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so this is interesting. Linda says, is shadow work connected to shadow people? I've seen shadow people in one house, especially when I cleaned houses several times a month, and I was alone most times.
Well, we have walkthroughs, we have houses
Mhm.
that have had prior residents who are attached to the place and stick around or come
Mhm.
back to visit. So that's hard to say, but they are in the shadows. So how do
Mhm.
you work with it? They appear to you for a reason because you're gifted, because you can see beyond, because you understand that there is a plane outside of this
Mhm.
earth-bound system that takes us to wherever we want to go because it's not linear. It's an orb. Like,
Mhm.
like look at
It's a
this light
spiral. It's a
up here.
spiral.
Mhm.
Look at the orb that just showed up here.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I also had somebody else, and I put this in myself because I forgot to click on there, but they asked the question, the difference between the Arcturians and the Andromedans. She got it mixed up, and is there a way that you can say which is what, and the difference in them?
Well,
So,
Andromedans are hippies.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's a bee colony. That is
Uh-huh.
Bacchus symbol for Andromeda.
Uh-huh.
And I drew that star system, I think. And
Diana is the queen bee.
Hmm.
well, there you go, but it's why. Well, is this it? Did I do? No, that's the Orion Wars. No, I don't know that I drew the star system for Andromeda. Sorry, guys. That's Orion. I did not draw that system.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Okay.
like I said,
no
it's really
worries.
it's not linear, but it's not just not linear. It's spiral. It's like a spiral. Everything moves in a spiral,
Well,
and the
that's
spiral always comes back to the same place, but at a different distance. It depends whether you're spiraling in or you're spiraling out.
Yeah.
which they have this in common. And that
Hmm.
is the Triskelius, right?
Oh,
The
yeah.
And
Yeah.
triskelion.
that is the tri
Yeah.
spiral.
Yeah.
You can find it in many different ways. It's definitely a favorite Celtic symbol, and the Greeks used it a lot as well. And
Hmm.
that is part of the quantum entanglement that brings them all together because they're the guardians of the universe, the
Mhm.
warriors, but they're not warring. They're
No,
there.
Mm. Yeah, they're protectors and
Yeah.
defenders.
they're
Yeah.
pacifist. And the other thing
Hmm.
is that there's some people here in the chat that are very high up in the
Hmm.
organization. I'm not going to go say which ones, but
Hmm.
they're
Hmm.
here,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
you just serve in the capacity that you're able to serve. And the thing is that once you start doing that kind of stuff, it moves very quick.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
not like, oh, I'm going to be doing this for a little while. No, it may change from one week to the next, depending on what needs to happen. And I was telling Diane that it's multidimensional. So you may still be doing that, but you're doing something else differently.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of different things in different dimensions.
Another level of yourself is doing something else. So
Hmm.
once you start to get your head wrapped around that in your 3D brain, you're going to be able to do it. You have to do it in 5D. You have to get
Hmm.
up there to start to even comprehend that because the 3D brain can't. And,
Like
and
when
when
we're coding in the dreams. That's how many times, Allie, just the other night, you and Terry and Kelly and I were all together, but we didn't see each other. All that was going was like a ticker tape of
Hmm.
code, symbols,
Yeah.
color. And I am going to start relating those symbols to Arcturian because I saw that. I found that in something I was looking at yesterday online about Arcturians.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
yeah, to me it was amazing. And these were pretty much, I don't know, all the symbols that were flashing across us on this ticker tape.
Hmm.
Well, that's not
They look Japanese,
yeah, it
like
does.
Yeah,
kanji.
they do.
daggone.
Or
Yeah.
Arabic
Yeah. Yeah.
or Chinese, I mean, just
Hmm.
Yeah.
how much
Mhm.
of it is already earthly bound. So when
Right.
you think about the Ogham system, which was basically, considered, well, cuneiform, of course, but
Hmm.
Ogham, like the first way to spell, and spelling became a spell. I can cast a spell on you,
Right.
that's because I
Right.
know how to spell,
Hmm.
and I can do it with 5 fingers.
The
Hmm.
thing is that do not be afraid of even getting close to the Arcturians because I mean nothing but good can come out of it. It's not going to be like it's not going to be like I'm going to take all my everything's going to be easy. No, they're going to put you to work and they'll make you
Uh-huh.
work yourself for it
Hmm.
because that's
Uh-huh.
how they teach. It's
Sure.
not like
Yeah.
it's
They,
not
they they don't coddle people.
no, they're not
Uh-huh.
going to hand it over to you, but they're going to point you in the right direction and then they're going to watch you.
Yeah,
Because that
exactly.
that that Athena ship has multi dimensions, and each dimension is a you can call it an initiation,
Uh-huh.
and it has doors that open when you're ready, and they're not going to open until you're ready to go in there. They got
Hmm.
holodecks in there that can show you anything you want on any part of your life. If it's like a high tech connection to the Akashic records. You can go in there, and it may look like a garden with a bench and a pond and trees, and the pond. That's where you see whatever it is you're going to be seeing. But however it interfaces with you, that's what you're best able to comprehend it. But it connects you, and that's how you learn. And then you may ask any question at that time. What about this? And then they'll
Hmm.
explain it to you and that kind of stuff. And then after a while, and time doesn't go the same way. You may be in there for equivalent to us, maybe an hour. It could be several lifetimes
Hmm.
compared. So there'll be an Arcturian popping in or waiting for you to come out and then say, "Well, how'd it go?"
So Tamar has an interesting question. Where is the center of Galactic Federation and who is the leader of the Galactic Federation? Is there a leader? Is the question.
I don't
I don't think so.
Yeah,
know.
I think it's more like a council.
It's a conglomerate of people who decide to go
Yeah.
a certain way after they deliberate
Yeah.
for I really.
And it doesn't necessarily have a center because we're all it's all spread out in our galaxy. But I believe that they meet in Altair. There's a star system called Altair,
Yeah.
where we meet.
And or any of the fixed stars, because
Hmm.
where's the ship at the time they decide to call a meeting, right? So
Yeah,
it's not like, you might go to a planet or you might go to a ship in someplace in space at the galactic center of 29 degrees, 28 degrees of Sagittarius, or to Regulus, or to um, what's another one that they go to a lot? Formahat. Ah, I just I was thinking about that last night. I should have written it down.
Yeah, think of the Galactic Senate in Star Wars. You know that huge, humongous building with all these people in there, and they talk forever and ever and ever and ever until you fall asleep.
Yeah, but which planet were they on? Which movie?
That kind of thing.
But
That you know,
now,
there's multiple places like that, like Diana was saying, that
yeah,
they can have a meeting, and sometimes the meetings don't need to be that big. It could be like a handful of people.
you could be at Lando Calrissian's planet, and then you're in trouble.
And by the way, all those stories, Star Wars. I mean, that really did happen.
You know,
yeah.
That's
you
real,
gotta hand
They
it to
had
them. Right.
inspiration.
and they
Isaac
got
Asimov,
inspiration from that to make the movies.
Frank Herbert, Isaac Asimov, and good old
Mhm.
George Lucas.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, there's so much they they knew. Think about it. We're all of that same generation and age. Frank Herbert was older than us, and so was Isaac Asimov, and those guys, Jules Verne. They knew because
Mhm.
why? That's where they came from. They resonated with that to begin with. They experienced that stuff in their dreams and their night journeys. So don't doubt where you think you are. There's really no such thing as a dream. They're
Mhm.
night travels. We're really moving around. You wake up tired and you slept 10 hours? Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
Yeah.
I
So,
don't
does
think
anybody know what the diet of the Arcturians is?
I
Is
don't
it?
think they eat anything. They
Yeah.
more absorb
Okay.
energy,
Okay. All
and they
right.
give energy too. And it's not just like it's not just take; it's give and take.
Hmm.
And,
Right.
Don't
and
they soak in the
Yeah.
the Pleiadians do that a lot too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
don't
Yeah.
they soak
They share
Um,
their energy amongst themselves, especially
well
when they greet each other. It's it sounds like a love fest, you know. Everybody's hugging each other, jumping up and down, and having a good old
yeah,
time.
they don't eat food the way they do. Diana, what were you trying to say?
they absorb through their skin, they soak in a vat of jello like liquid that the nutritions just soak in. They don't
Mhm.
have to sip it through a straw like we do, or
Hmm.
chew it with our teeth like we do, because they don't have teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
developed teeth because we needed to eat food. So they don't have teeth because they don't have to eat food. And I just want to add on to what you said, Diana. Those waters or those jello looking things, those are the Arcturian waters. And when I see them they look green. So if you're an Arcturian starseed, you might like going to spas or somewhere with water so you can soak it in because in Arcturus you're used to just soaking things up in through waters through the
Uh,
Arcturian healing waters.
And
yeah.
all of
Yeah.
us, the reason why
Yes.
I love the salves is because we all absorb things through our skin. Our
Yeah.
epidermis is the best way to deliver medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So magnesium shuts itself off when you've got enough instead of putting your body in overdrive and,
Yeah.
making you sleep too much or making you run to the bathroom too much. So when you put it on your skin and put it on the bottom of your feet, it automatically shuts off when you've got all you need. And
Mhm.
that's just amazing. So
Yeah.
our skin is the best way to receive it, just as the Arcturians and many other as well. You know,
Hmm.
what are
So
in those?
Maureen says she's wondered if maybe those of us who have autoimmune diseases are allergic to the human body, and that actually is a really insightful question comment. It really is.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
I find that this is more common with Lyran starseeds than
Okay.
Arcturian starseeds. Because of the Lyran Draconian Wars, we carry emotional energy trauma signatures from the Lyran Draconian Wars, and so when we get stressed, these traumas get triggered in our body, and that's where most or a lot of the autoimmune issues come up in our human body. But there are some instances where Arcturians they don't really get autoimmune issues, but since they're not used to density, it may feel very uncomfortable or they feel
Yeah,
awkward in their body.
well,
very
and
true. Yeah.
I also have what Maureen is referring to, and it's a virus. So
Mhm.
rather than an allergy, it's a virus, and it clicks itself on when we've absorbed all we can. Now they say that about allergies. You know, you've eaten your last strawberry when you start breaking out with hives. Well, that's true, but
Mhm.
it it doesn't necessarily. Well, it can trigger your autoimmune issues because it puts you in a stressful situation. But that really goes back to the viral part of what you're eating because it's not so much a natural thing anyway.
Yeah, I wanna revisit the question about the lady who I don't remember her name, but she talked about some spirals and some symbols. That
That's
that
Mary. Yeah,
yeah,
Mary.
those are downloads that are coming your way.
Okay.
That's what
That's,
I got when I read that
uh-huh.
question. So I want to make sure you got at least that answered. So
Uh-huh.
just sit there and let it happen.
So do they have emotions like love, Justine wonders?
Oh
Or is
yeah,
it but not exactly like the way we are, perhaps? It looks
no,
different.
it's more like divine love.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's
They're
not
very
Agape.
much
universal. It's universal. It's
mhm.
not like we look at love sometimes. It's not
Yeah.
physical. It's
Yeah.
not a individual type of thing. It's just for everybody.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
They have
Well,
unity consciousness, so you feel
Yeah,
very
right.
connected with
Right.
everyone.
Yes. Once you reach unity consciousness,
and they
Mhm.
program
or
it
once you
away.
reach galactic consciousness, well, unity comes after galactic. So once you reach that level, it's like there's really nothing else. It's
Mhm.
only that.
We also, we as humans associate love with procreation
Hmm.
and sexual stimulation, where their sex life is a whole different ballgame from what we have. And especially with Arcturians, they don't deliver a baby the same way, you know? So
Mhm.
do they feel emotion? Well, something, because they
Yeah.
want to protect us, because they want to make sure that we are our highest selves, because they're willing to interact in that form. And that in itself is love, because a parent shouldn't, usually is not sexually attracted to their child. And so it's
Hmm.
a mother or
Right.
child.
The humans approach that phase of things differently,
Right.
which is the kind
And
of
that's
weird situation I'm
So
in.
we only have
It's
about
not the
2 minutes
same.
left.
It's not the same. It's not the same, and I don't understand it. I really don't. After being there for so long, I really don't understand that because the
Okay.
human side says no, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah,
Hmm.
So
but
we only have about a minute left. So is there anything that you would like to say about anything that we haven't covered today, everybody?
no. I hope that sometime in the future we can probably do something with the Arcturian corridor, or at least get that out there
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I said, there's a lot of things up ahead of us, with Earth changes that are going to
Mm-hmm.
be kind of drastic. So I just want to get that heads up. It
Okay.
may not happen soon, but it's going to happen. It's
Yeah.
coming this way.
And Diane
Don't,
G.
don't, don't fear it. Don't fear it. Just be aware of it. If you're aware
Uh-huh.
of it, you don't have to fear it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
Diane G.
difficult to
Okay.
put this everything about the Arcturians in one
No, right.
episode. So we might
Yeah,
in the future, yeah, revisit the topic.
very much
Well,
so.
something I'd like to address is your birthmarks. Are they a different color? Are they a strange shape? Are they angular? Are they look like a symbol on Japanese writing? Think about your birthmarks and what they could represent. I have a blue dot on this shoulder, right about there. Who has a blue dot that, like that bruise color blue dot that never healed from your childhood, but it's always been there. And when I turn this a certain way, it's a star. So, what do you have on your body that can show you that this is a marking where your angel kissed you on the right here? That's where the angel bumped you.
Hmm.
That's where the angel, that's where somebody poked you and said, sorry, you got to go to Earth.
Well, not only that, but we carry wounds sometimes from past lives, correct? I mean, we get
Right.
Hmm.
marks like that from past
Which
lives. Yeah.
could have come from Andromeda or
Right.
Lyra or, anywhere. We don't know how long.
Omaha. Omaha. Yeah.
Arkansas.
My brother always used to say Cleveland for everything, so I thought I'd change it up a little bit.
I like Omaha. I like saying Omaha. It makes sense.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we appreciate all the people that have come to listen today and ask the questions that we have. And I agree, there's probably a lot more we could talk about. We're going to be off for a little while. We'll pick back up sometime in August. And if you have any things that you would like to know more about, I'm sure we'll come up with something. But if you have a thing that you would like us to look at, a group of people, star seeds, then let us know. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So we'll see you when we see you. Everybody have a beautiful day. Thank you, Paul. Thank you,
Brian
Diane.
coming over.
Thank you, Diana. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.